Yeah, so it's an interesting dynamic. We're fortunate to have a strong partnership with Vista Unified in
Mhm.
that our staff and their staff are coming together to help kids before school, after school, and then we're there for them during the summer, which, when you look at it, kids are only in school about half of the year with the summer months,
Mhm.
winter break and that sort of thing. So we're meeting families where they are, and we're kind of a key puzzle piece between the school district, chamber, businesses, families,
Mhm.
and nonprofits like the Boys and Girls Club, Vista Community Clinic, Lifeline, all that. It all
Yeah.
kind of comes together to help families. But what we have to do then is to raise the funds to actually pay to help those students year round. So, parents are struggling. Financial assistance isn't an option. Sometimes they're embarrassed. They don't want to apply for a scholarship. And then in other scenarios, just the name itself, the club, it lends a little exclusivity, like we're a big golf club here or golf course. We're not. It's for everybody.
Welcome back to the Same Business, Different Day podcast. I'm your host, Zeke Corley, here in Vista at the fabulous Film Hub. Now, Vista is called the climatic capital of the world, and we can't complain about that right now because it's springtime, 4 o'clock, beautiful and sunny outside. We just finished up the Strawberry Festival, and we had a blast. If you haven't been, come check us out. Now, today I have the pleasure of speaking with the type of guest that our audience has always wanted to hear from. Why? Because there are some people that wear their resumes on their sleeves. We've heard the stories from them, others, sometimes multiple times, right? But Matt is one of those that has that long resume. He does so much for the businesses and the community, yet not many people know how this all happened. Today, we get to hear the journey directly from one of my favorite voices, Matt Koumaras. Welcome to the
Honored to
Same
be here.
Business, Different Day podcast. I'm really happy to have you, man.
Glad to be here, Zeke. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I mean, now you told me that you've checked out the podcast before.
I have.
Okay, so you already understand kind of what this is all about, right? We like to talk about the journeys. We do really like to talk about how people got to where they are today because, as you know, and we'll talk about this later because you actually inspire some of the people that are listeners to our show, that you are showing them how to get to where they want to be in life, right? But sometimes they need to hear how you got to where you are in order for them to get there as well, right?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to start from the beginning,
All right.
if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay, where were you born?
I was born in Reading, Pennsylvania.
Reading, Pennsylvania. Is that on? That's not.
It's near about an hour away from Philadelphia. They're Reading's famous for their outlets,
Mhm.
Yingling beer. That's
Yeah.
kind of what they're famous for.
What's the beer?
Yingling.
You guys aren't on the Monopoly board, though, are you?
We were Reading Railroad.
Ah,
For sure.
okay, that's the one I know. I don't
Yeah.
drink beer, but I know
Okay.
I played plenty of Monopoly.
Nice.
How did I get to where I am without playing Monopoly?
Exactly. I love the game.
No, I love it. I love it. Okay, Pennsylvania. How long were you there?
I was there probably till I think age 7.
Okay, so you have some memories from there.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. It was in the early 70s. My grandparents, both sides of the family, were there. My dad's dad was a shoe salesman. His mom was a homemaker, kind of assisted at schools, and then my mom's dad was a farmer. They came over from Germany. They had their own farm. They started that, so they really put in a lot of hours working on that farm. And my dad's dad spent many hours as a shoe salesman. So,
did you spend any time on the farm?
Yeah. And particularly during the summers, we got to go visit the farm, and it's kind of an amazing way of life, just seeing all the hard work they put in and getting up early, and just kind of how everybody kind of relies on each other just to keep it going. And they had a huge property there, and it was amazing. So they were over near the Allentown area of Pennsylvania.
I'm familiar with Allentown.
Oh, nice.
Actually, no, there's a lot of history in Allentown, actually, from my family.
Oh,
as well.
really?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up? Did you have like thoughts and
Heck
aspirations?
no.
Yeah.
No. I was always kind of, an introvert, creative type. I was definitely inspired by, my grandparents and kind of they're following the American dream, coming over from my dad's parents came over from Greece. So just seeing the hard work they put in to help my dad and as well as my mom, inspired by them, but no idea what I wanted to be. I do have several memories, and most of them aren't pleasant from back there. I got to be honest with you.
In Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania and New York, I had a lot of relatives there.
And not
I
pleasant.
remember just being home alone a lot where people were doing stuff and the house getting broken into. It's like it's happened to me twice in a span of just a couple of years. It wasn't a safe place to
You
be
were
back
home
then.
alone.
Home alone.
At what age?
It's probably 6.
And the house got broken into?
I'm using the phone, calling it. It's like Macaulay Culkin.
It's just
here.
like
Yeah.
you stay there. They left you. They didn't harm you.
No, didn't harm me. I made noises like, hey, go away. Thankfully, they didn't break in the first time I was there. But then the day after when I was gone, they broke in and they stole a bunch of stuff from my dad's dad, my grandpa.
Oh, no.
So I remember it being very unsafe, and it wasn't a good place to be back then in the 70s. And so my parents ended up making the journey out to California from there, and loved California. We ended up.
Who loved California? You, your parents?
Me, my parents, and my sister. We moved out.
You felt more like that was a safer place for you?
Yeah, they felt it was a safer place to be. My dad moved out here. He had a choice between Fresno and San Diego. And my mom said Fresno's the place to be.
I'm only laughing because I knew where that was going.
She's all, it's right between San Francisco and LA. You're centrally located.
She's right about that.
Yeah, she was worried about San Diego being a military town, and she was worried about cursing sailors and stuff, being a bad impression on me and stuff like that. So I guess I was very impressionable as a kid, but I did enjoy growing up in Fresno. There wasn't a lot to do, but it kept me, on straight and narrow, and enjoyed growing up in that part of California. I still have very fond memories.
Well, you weren't impressionable enough to turn into a criminal, breaking
not
into
then,
other people's
no.
houses.
Not at all.
But so I mean, that's so interesting because Fresno is not what she is particular.
No, she's a nurse,
Yeah,
so she had a great career there, working as a nurse, helping other people. And my dad's a psychologist, so he went to school to become a psychologist there, and we grew up there.
Where did he go to school?
There's a place called CSPP, and I think it's Clinical Sociology Psychology School in Fresno. So that's where he got it. He did a private practice for many years. And then the irony is I went up to school up to Santa Cruz, and as soon as I went up there, they moved down to San Diego.
Why wouldn't they?
And they followed my sister down here who went to San Diego State. So they've been tracking her for years.
So you had older siblings?
Right? Younger. Yeah, so she went down to San Diego State, and they followed her down here. So.
And so you went up to Santa Cruz. But Santa Cruz is not one of the worst places to be.
No, and I have great memories of that growing up, going there in the summertime.
How would you compare it to Fresno?
Night and day. And when I went there, it showed me the way. I'm all, so this is the way I could live and have some fun, so I was very grateful to get out of Fresno, but still enjoy visiting.
You probably felt more like the California dream.
It did for sure. Yeah.
I love Santa Cruz.
Join us, Couples Unfiltered, the podcast where we have intricate conversations with very interesting couples from all walks of life.
We delve into the profound difficulties these couples have faced and how they've overcome despite.
These are genuine couples with genuine stories, and we're so excited to be able to share their wealth of knowledge with you.
That's Couples Unfiltered. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
The Film Hub is the future of co-working in downtown Vista. Get energized in an inspiring work environment that is built for your success. With multiple membership options for workspace and private offices, you can become a part of our co-working community. The Film Hub makes it easier to produce the professional content your business needs. From video production, live streams, photo shoots, or in-person events, you can create all this and more in our audio and video facilities. Love your work and where you accomplish it. The Film Hub.
So I grew up in San Jose, and we used to race up the Highway 17.
Oh my gosh, that's a scary highway.
It's a very scary highway. One accident.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't a good one.
No.
But it's a fun little commute.
Yeah.
It's a fun commute. But Santa Cruz. Okay, so tell me more about the experience there.
Yeah, so I went to UC Santa Cruz, majored English literature. I thought I was going to be some sort of writer, or I was into poetry quite a bit. And so
How did you get into it? When did you know you were into poetry?
Probably in high school. I had a lot of really good English teachers in high school, and my best friend's mom was a teacher there in high school. She always supported me and encouraged me to be creative, and I enjoyed that side of it. So that was a big dream of mine for a while, and then somewhere I think life happened where I realized probably not a career for me in that venue. So after graduating from UC Santa Cruz, I got a job in the Santa Cruz Sentinel and newspaper. And I started off in advertising, so retail advertising, classified advertising, more of a salesperson. But from there, I got the opportunity to finally start writing. So I got to tie that into it a little bit. And I would do some fluff pieces on local businesses, but then I got to write about music, which I really loved. And I've always been into music, into sports too. But during high school, I was in band, played saxophone, jazz band, all that. Enjoyed that. And then senior year, I quit band. I was done with it. I learned how to play guitar, and that changed my life.
Changed your life?
Changed my life.
I heard that.
I had more freedom. I made new friends. Still love my old band friends, but it opened up so many doors.
Tell me, I want to go back a little bit because I got into music too, and it changed my life. I wasn't a musician at all, but I dabbled in the arena. So, but what I'm interested in hearing about is that sales experience that it sounds like you were like really trying to rush past.
Yeah.
The sales and advertising, marketing and advertising with the newspaper. What was that experience like?
It was a different time, and in some ways, this is in the late 80s, early 90s. The dynamics of the newspaper were changing for sure. They were still kind of stuck in that Mad Men era. You could see it from like the 50s, 60s, where a lot of the business types there, the head honcho, the C-level people, those were all guys. And I was working with a bunch of women in advertising, selling that, selling ads, cold calling, as well as media.
How did you get put in that position?
I was looking for a job. I was out of high school, and that's the only place I could find. So they had me selling ads. They had me delivering tear sheets to local businesses of their ad that appeared in the paper.
Yeah.
And so I enjoyed that quite a bit, and it did open up, some doors in the editorial side. And then I got to work with the press room too, which was typically all guys. So it was there's little class subsets, but I was working with a bunch of women, enjoyed that, loved that. And I think that prepared me for the nonprofit world where we're dominated by a lot of females, which is awesome. So it gave me a lot of diverse work experience. So I enjoyed that quite a bit.
I think that's very smart. Anytime there's diversity involved, multiple experiences is always helpful, right? And as you know, like I said, that we look to help our listeners understand the different paths that they could take, and jobs that you will accept, internships even.
Yeah.
And sometimes you want to look at those and just say, is there going to be diverse work experience, or is this going to be just kind of straight arrow and straight down the
And
line?
I was just a grunt, lower level, working there, cold calling people, meeting people at the front counter. I wanted to place an ad for real estate, a funeral, all sorts of things, selling items, household, like Craigslist items.
How do you find the confidence to do that though?
Just power through it, learn how to do it. I was watching everybody else, see how they do it. I think on the phone, they like my voice. So I think that was part of it.
Okay.
And then it was me meeting people, was just gaining that confidence and that. And a lot of people did like working with me because I wasn't your usual sales rep. So I think that worked in my favor.
So in your view, what does sales look like? Like, is it like closing deals? Like different people have different approaches when it comes to sales.
Yeah, for me, it really wasn't about following the goals. It was about establishing those relationships with people,
Relationships.
getting to know them, helping them out, letting them know about certain deals and how I might be able to help them.
Mhm.
I would never pressure them. I was not your car salesman type at all. I was just more flexible. I'm there for you when you need me and that kind of thing.
Ah, man, it's so hilarious that how car salesmen get depicted.
Yeah.
It's if you were ever had to think, you know what it used to be when I was growing up, and you're around my age. They used to be called the vacuum salesman guy.
Hmm.
Or you know what I'm saying? It would be that like that's the guy that's always trying to like do too much. Like
Yeah.
he's always trying to con you into something. But then at some point it got turned into the car salesman's the bad guy. I never sold cars, so I'm not
Yeah.
trying to defend them or anything. But some of you guys are okay. It's okay.
Yeah, and to be honest, every time I went to buy a car, I've had a positive experience.
Okay,
I will say
good.
that. But it was interesting working in that environment in advertising. We're on the first floor,
Mhm.
and then above us, he's got the publisher and the CFO.
Okay.
They're looking down on us. Like
Yeah.
it did feel kind of like there was a definite separation of power.
That's
I would say,
right. Yeah, you know, I don't have any experience in the newspaper industry except for visiting Hearst Castle a lot
Oh,
out there.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
love Hearst Castle, but I heard he was one of those very shrewd.
Yeah, and then I got out just in time because soon after the Santa Cruz Sentinel was bought out by the San Jose Mercury. So all those Santa Cruz
Mm.
people,
Mhm.
they had a choice to make. You're either moving over the hill or you need to retire, that kind of thing. So I got
Wow.
out just in
Okay.
time.
So then you got into music.
Got into music. I was writing a weekly column for a couple local publications, just going to shows. They
Just
caught my
doing
tickets.
reviews or
Reviews, yeah, I got to do that and got to see a lot of cool shows. Have kind of fun takes on bands. I like to, just have a good time with it. I really like to shine a light on kind of up and coming local bands. That was my forte.
but that's
So
not easy though.
it wasn't easy, but it was something I enjoyed. And being in several bands myself, I liked getting to know these younger kids around town and everything like that. They looked up to me. I think I mentioned in the Velocity podcast, but I had this like gang of 12-year-old boys that they thought we were the greatest, in several bands, and they looked up to us. And I enjoyed hearing what they had to say,
Mhm.
the struggles they're going through, and just kind of helping, hopefully, guide them in a positive light,
Yeah.
through growing up, which is tough,
Yeah.
and
Well, you know, it's interesting to me because there are a lot of musicians. I mean, you know, a lot of parents try to get their kids in a band and
yeah,
whatever, and then eventually, or band class, and then eventually some of them go off into creating their own bands and just trying to give it a shot.
yeah,
But that's still a business if you really want to do it, and that's
yeah.
not easy either.
Right, and that's why I kind of have mixed feelings about the whole school of rock mentality. In some
Okay.
way, I kind of fake to me. It's not
Okay.
authentic to me in the way it's doing it. I
Okay.
think you can do it organically yourself
Mhm.
and not have to rely on certain things. But obviously, people need help too to get it started, to meet other musicians and that sort of thing too. But I
Yeah.
kind of like just powering through it, figuring out, okay, you're on bass, okay, you're on drums, drummer's not working, okay, we need another drummer. Drummers are the hardest to find, so that we were always
Is that
struggling.
right?
Yeah, drummers are tough, and I can't do it. So I'm left-handed. I can only do one hand.
I'm left-handed as well, and
Oh,
I
right
can't
on.
play any
Cool.
instruments.
Me, you, and Dan from Pepper Tree. Okay. Cool.
Okay,
Yeah. All
okay.
right.
Well, I'm in good company.
You are.
That's awesome. So for me, I was a disc jockey.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah,
See, I didn't know that.
yeah. So I was just on the radio, just actually I was talking to Rachel about it earlier about the lead-ins going into the songs and everything. And she
Yeah.
was just like, you're cutting off the song when you talk over the instrumental at the beginning. I'm like, no, that's how you lead
Yeah.
into the song. But anyway, so we I that's who I was, right? Just
I can see that. Yeah.
talking. Thank
Yeah.
you. And but I well, at least I take it as a compliment.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good thing.
I couldn't play any instruments, but what I did love doing was hosting shows. You know, because a lot that came with that is that you wind up promoting a lot of shows. You wind up being asked to speak at shows and getting the artists involved. And then after that, I started working with record labels and working for a
right.
record label. So that I loved being a part of the music industry. It just wasn't paying it.
Yeah, and it's a good thing you got out because yeah, that's another industry like the newspaper industry that dramatically changed with Spotify
Right.
and all
Right.
that. You have to
Yeah.
gig all the time if you want to make your
Yeah.
career and
If
sell
you didn't make
merch
your money
like
then,
crazy. Yeah,
then you're out. So
yeah.
okay, so then getting out of the music journalism industry. But I mean, okay, no, wait a
Yeah.
minute though. Give me a second because first of all, you're obviously a great communicator, and to be a good writer like you were or are, you had to have put together some pretty stuff, some stuff that you're really proud of, some reviews, some writings that you're really proud of. Do you keep any of them up on your walls?
I've got in my garage. I've got a couple crates worth of editorial stories I did on some
Okay,
up and coming bands
all
and
right.
stuff that I was proud of, and I look back on it. A lot of it had jokes to that time period, the '90s and
Oh,
stuff, and
okay,
tying things
okay.
in that
Uh-huh.
would probably wouldn't work today in terms of like '90s sitcoms and
Uh-huh.
that sort of thing.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a great experience. And then during that time, after the working at the newspaper, I got a job at a magazine doing more advertising, but also the pagination of a magazine in terms of laying out the ads, laying out the editorials. So was interesting with this magazine. I left the newspaper was is a mining journal, so gold miners and that sort of thing, dredgers and all
Oh,
that. Completely unique world to me.
yeah.
Fun fact was one of our subscribers was the Unabomber. So yes,
Really?
Ted Kaczynski. So
Okay.
different world for me, but I did enjoy the creativity of helping lay out how certain ad space go with editorials, and you had to cut and paste and do all that. So that was an opportunity before me, and then did that a few years. I love that as well. I was very supported. They gave me the flexibility to still play music and then also do the side gig with this the Santa Cruz Metro, which I think was part of Metro San Jose, had their own weekly editorial at the time. So they let me do that on both sides. And then eventually I kind of came to this crossroads. I had a girlfriend at the time who's becoming a teacher. She lured me into becoming a teacher. And
Okay,
that's
so
how I got stuck.
how does that happen, right? Because you've gone to school.
Yeah.
At this point, you had your bachelor's or you had
I
your
had my
master's?
bachelor's, yeah,
Okay.
and then after that, I went to the Sentinel and then this mining journal after that. And so I'm
Okay.
just my mid 20s, just kind of living life.
Had you been considering being a
Teaching,
teacher?
never
Okay.
dawned on me.
Why not? And then what convinced you?
What convinced me was, well, the girlfriend was doing it. She told me I could go at nighttime so I could keep my day job.
Okay.
So I didn't want to lose my day job because I was happy living my life as it was. So
Mhm.
at nighttime, I got to go to National University, get my teaching credential, got my master's in education, and met the principal who hired me for the first job at Lincoln High School in San Jose.
Yeah,
And it
my
was just
neck
a
of the
wonderful
woods.
experience. And not with that girlfriend anymore. Glad I'm not. But
Yeah, yeah, I
she
get that.
pushed me towards that direction, which
Right.
I never would have made that leap and bound or tried that. So
I can't imagine it though. I'm not wrapping my head around
yeah.
it, Matt. How do you go from um, being a journalist, um, just the adventures that you had been through, and then all of a sudden, I'm going to teach now. I
Well,
understand
yeah.
that you're influenced,
Yeah.
but I don't see. I've never. It's never crossed my mind.
I like working with kids through music, so I knew I had that going for me, and I always enjoyed that part of my life. And then the fact that I could teach in high school English and all
High
the great
school.
high school English, all the great novels that I love. I'm kind of
Mhm.
an Anglophile, so I got to teach all the Bronte I wanted. I got to
Okay.
even do American art. I got to do Catcher in the Rye, which I love. So Romeo and Juliet, tons of Shakespeare. I enjoyed that, and
Yeah.
it was quite the opportunity. And so I got to share that with them,
Yeah.
and we were part of this program called Pace Setter, where we got to do some unique teaching styles to reach kids, primarily English second language speakers. So we got
Okay.
to use film, we got to use a lot of sound and
That's awesome.
soundtracks to it. So it was pretty cool. some reason we got to teach Edward Scissorhands, which I love that. So I was in.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And obviously respect and love to all the teachers.
Yeah, and I mean the kids there at high school were wonderful. I
Mhm.
enjoyed that. Met my wife there while
Okay.
teaching there. She was working in Santa Cruz, um, but it was just a phenomenal experience, and I really enjoyed it. I worked with freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. And freshmen I loved the best because we had the lower ratios. It was like 20 kids to
Mhm.
one staff, so I really got to know those freshmen. And what was really nice was, they come in, they're scared, they're out of middle school, they're kind of
Sure.
babies still,
100.
and, just seeing the growth in them throughout the year, and I was told never to smile until January, to keep disciplined in lines, but I had a good time with those kids. We had a blast, and,
Did you
soph
learn from them? What do
Yeah, yeah, of course, I learned a lot from them about where they were coming from,
Mhm.
and again, it was a diverse community. It was kind of like a magnet high school. So you had kids from the neighborhood, but then also kids from, Los Gatos. You had kids from Cupertino coming to Lincoln, which was neat.
Mhm.
So I enjoyed that. And then they also hired me. And I think this kind of moved me a little bit in the Boys and Girls Club direction as a bilingual tutorial instructor as well. And this was a group of kids that they didn't they knew English a little bit. It was pretty limited, but it was more like helping them with their homework
Yeah.
and kind of guiding them,
Mhm.
helping them with some decision making classes. And I enjoyed that
But you have to put
tremendously.
in a lot of hours to do that, though. You
Yeah,
put in a lot of work.
yeah, there was a lot of work there, but then again, I enjoyed the freedom of during the summer. I had no
Yeah,
school,
there's
so
that.
I enjoyed
Right.
that, and I got to
Yeah.
do a little more music, and
Yeah.
so it was a nice
So
balance for me.
why didn't you become the most famous musician around?
Well, I'm not very
What are we
good.
missing? Oh, well, you
No,
got to
yeah,
start with
yeah, I'm not a virtuoso. I'm very
that.
basics, meat and potatoes,
Okay.
guitarist. I don't like solos. I don't like any of that. I just like power
You
chords.
still
I
love
still
music?
do, and I still play today. I
You still
meet a
play?
group of guys. We're just jamming, and probably play a few shows soon, but
You gonna play some shows soon?
probably some shows.
Okay, so
Probably at
you're
the
better than you were then.
Well, I don't know. I played lots of shows back then, but yeah, so
Okay.
I enjoy that, and to me, the music's a stress reliever. It's
100%.
it's fantastic for getting that out of your system, and then just the bonding with everybody, and seeing how everybody contributes to making a successful
I think
sound.
that's me with cooking.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
getting all those right
That's kind of my
ingredients.
stress.
Once
Yeah.
off,
Yeah.
the whole thing's off.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I'm just playing an
Yeah,
instrument.
it's like figuring out that chemical equation. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
exactly.
That's it. Okay, so I think it's time to get to the reveal. We're going to talk a little bit more about what you do, Matt. Okay, so Matt Koumaras was the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club in Santa Cruz then, and now Boys and Girls Club Vista since 2007. Under Matt's leadership, the Boys and Girls Club of Vista has received several national honors, including the Gold Gateway to Impact Award for Boys and Girls Clubs of America, the Nonprofit Administrator of the Year for San Diego and Imperial County Offices of Education, and Nonprofit of the Year from the Vista Chamber in its inaugural year. Yes, the club's budget has grown tremendously from $700,000 to $2.8 million and expanded from 2 to 6 sites in Vista and Oceanside. He also serves as secretary on our board of the Vista Chamber of Commerce, a stellar community member and champion for our youth and businesses. Welcome again, Matt Koumaras. Man, I appreciate you, man. I know you know I appreciate you because, we work together on the board and all of that, but I wanted to know more about your story. I wanted to get a little bit closer to, who it is that you are, where you came from. I love the fact that you spent some time over there in San Jose at Pioneer. That was something that we shared that I didn't know until a couple of months ago. But San Jose is obviously real near and dear to me. And I love the way that you've kind of moved around the country and moved through California and actually found yourself here. So overall, what would you say has impacted you, your travels, your journeys? How have you been impacted? Um, and experiencing and learning from the
Sure.
different cities that you've been in?
Sure. Well, I kind of think like life's its own role playing game. We all start off with different levels and
Mhm.
hit points and this and that.
Mhm.
And each spot's gained me some experience to some learning lessons where I've gained something from, okay, I learned how to meet deadlines in the newspaper industry. I learned how to work with kids from diverse backgrounds in teaching and working at Boys and Girls Club. I learned how to fundraise. That was a new world to me as well. But that kind of ties into the sales experience at the Sentinel
Mhm.
in Santa Cruz. So it all kind of shaped itself together. And I was very fortunate to learn about the Boys and Girls Club through my wife. She's a funeral director, which would be a great future podcast in itself about that industry.
Highly interested.
But her employer was on the board of the Boys and Girls Club of Santa Cruz
Mhm.
and told me about what they're doing there, and it definitely enticed me in that I got to avoid some of the red tape that's involved with the education system. A lot more freedom to do what I want to do and what I want to teach and this and that. So that there became an opportunity for me to serve as their education director there at the Boys and Girls Club in Santa Cruz.
Mhm.
So I did that for a few years, knowing that eventually their current executive director was going to retire. So she kind of groomed me, teach me less,
Okay.
the ropes of how to work with a board, how to fundraise, how to work on strategic plans and that sort of
Awesome.
thing. And that gave me the experience I needed because I was kind of going in with that limited knowledge in terms of a nonprofit and how that works. I never had any of that
Really?
experience.
No
So
nonprofit experience?
no,
Yeah.
not at all. And so she helped me quite a
With the
bit.
transition, yeah.
Yep. And then took over CEO there. And then that was a unique situation for me in that they had a huge endowment of people that gave bequests to the Boys and Girls Club through memorial gifts and that sort of thing. Hence the whole funeral director relationship. He was a funeral director too, and so kind of ties
Wow.
into that. So
Really?
that's how they really kept that club afloat was through people. I want to live a legacy so that future kids can, have great futures in their lives. So it
Oh.
came full circle
Mhm.
and really that's helped out so many Boys and Girls Clubs. So got the experience there at the Boys and Girls Club, but kind of the good and the bad of it was they had this huge endowment and we got a monthly allotment from it. We didn't have to fundraise that month. We
Mhm.
would do a gala, but we really didn't have to. It
Okay.
was a more of a marketing opportunity. And we
Sure.
did this, we did a golf tournament,
Yeah.
but we really didn't have to.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, as soon as I was about to leave to come down to San Diego to be closer, bring my wife, 2 daughters down here because my parents live here now,
Mhm.
we just a few months prior, we received notice that we're getting like a $5 million endowment on top of that
Oh, damn.
to really update the
And you
facility.
still moved
And
to
I left.
San
I still left, and
You
I kind of
still
regret it.
left?
With that, they were able to open up a new Boys and Girls Club in the Live Oak area of Santa Cruz, and then they started one in Scotts Valley, right off the
Yeah.
17. And I'm like, every once in a while, I'm all, why did I leave when we got that huge gift? It would have been smooth sailing. So I came
Wow.
here. I love Vista. Vista was a different situation though when I came
I
down here.
bet. I
Yeah,
bet. And you know what's interesting to me is just like the Boys and Girls Club in general, like, right? So you work for the Boys and Girls Club of America as well, all right? You
we're an affiliate
assist
of
with
them.
your
Yeah, yeah.
But I wonder, because you're getting these endowments, there's a ton of reputable alumni, right?
For sure. Yeah, there's a lot. Mario Lopez went to the Boys and Girls Club of South County. But what happens, and sometimes it's kind of a push-pull with our national organization, is they'll rope in the successful alumni for their own campaign. So sometimes we're competing against other Boys and Girls Clubs. So it can be difficult in that they'll get your Alex Rodriguez's, your J Lo's, those are Denzel, obviously. They'll get
Yeah.
them instead of supporting their
You
local.
say obviously, but he's been
Well,
very outspoken.
yeah,
Some people know and some people
yeah,
don't.
those are the kind of people that are attracted to our national organization, which is headquartered in Atlanta. They want to use those as a success story for us all, and we're all in it together. It's to serve kids.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So then you get to Vista.
Yes.
And then what are you dealing with when you get?
Well, my wife was pregnant with our second child. Moved to Vista. I loved the facility when I saw it. They had a baseball field. It was about 20,000 square feet. I loved that.
Mhm.
It had some challenges in that a lot of the facility hadn't been updated for a while. The staff was kind of, they were kind of on their
Take it or
own.
leave it.
Yeah, taking a leave of absence.
Mhm.
And then on top of that, we were getting sued at the time by a previous executive director and a program director. So I kind of walked into that
Oh
and
no.
dealing with that. So my first year or two was dedicated to just dealing with that as like, I don't know, it was before my time kind of thing. And the board was having some trouble. And
So the board couldn't advise you on it. They couldn't help
they
you.
helped me, and I had some good executive mentors and leaders. And
We're not trying to point fingers, man. You
no,
know,
no, they were, I was definitely on their side. I saw where they were coming from. But it was challenging. A lot of my time was dedicated to, getting stuff for various depositions and record keeping. So it took up a lot of my time. And then, of course, right during this time, 2007, 2008, the economy collapsed too. So
Mhm.
they had an endowment too, but theirs went down with the market. So when the market's good, things
Mhm.
are good. So a lot of struggles, but you know what I liked about it was, I had the opportunity to kind of push through that and get through it. I could have given up, but I didn't want to give up. I wanted to keep going. And I really believe in the community down there. It's underserved. They don't have a lot of resources. And I think what the Boys and Girls Club can do is help out so many families while they're working, they're going back to school, there's, at home with a newborn, they need a safe place to take their
Mhm.
kids. And we help take the worry out of those, out of school times for them.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, right? The conversation about, quote unquote, the price of daycare is mind blowing, right?
Yeah.
And so you guys not only have your facility, but you're actually on some school sites as well to be able to help with. I mean, the parents got to work in
Yeah.
order to pay for anything. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And then on top of that, there's the daycare expense. So how does that work with your sites and the satellite sites?
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're the host of I Like Beer, the podcast. Teachers by day, beer drinkers by night.
We promote local breweries. We toast, roast, and pour one out for all things beer and life related.
Come play beer or not a beer with us.
Find us wherever you get your podcasts at I Like Beer, the podcast.
This podcast is brought to you by YourInsurancePlace.com. Owning a business is hard work. You put your blood, sweat, and tears into it every single day. You need a partner who understands the ins and outs of insuring small to medium-sized businesses. For over 40 years, our California Property and Casualty Insurance Agency has insured businesses just like yours. We've seen it all, and we've learned a thing or two about what it takes to keep your business protected. That's why we offer free policy assessments. We'll take a look at your policy and let you know if there are any gaps in your coverage. Let us help you to protect what you've worked so hard to build. YourInsurancePlace.com.
Yeah. So it's an interesting dynamic. We're fortunate to have a strong partnership with Vista Unified in that our staff and their staff are coming together to help kids before school, after school, and then we're there for them during the summer, which, when you look at it, kids are only in school about half of the year with the summer months, winter break and that sort of thing. So we're meeting families where they are, and we're kind of a key puzzle piece between the school district, chamber, businesses, families, and nonprofits like the Boys and Girls Club, Vista Community Clinic, Lifeline, all that. It all kind of comes together to help families. But what we have to do then is to raise the funds to actually pay to help those students year round. So, parents are struggling. Financial assistance isn't an option. Sometimes they're embarrassed. They don't want to apply for a scholarship. And then in other scenarios, just the name itself, the club, it lends a little exclusivity. Like we're a big golf club here, a golf course. We're not. It's for everybody.
Yeah. And that's got to be a tough
Yeah. So we're doing a lot of
conversation
fundraising, grant writing, primarily for general operating and support to help kids throughout all our programs. So workforce development, sports program, music recording studio. We got one. So
Okay.
I made sure that happened.
Okay,
So
yeah.
we got that going, and we got arts classes, wellness programs, and we serve kids as young as 5 up to 18. And the biggest need for us, for parents right now, is helping those 5 and 6-year-olds with daycare, kind of a safe place for them to send their
That's
kids.
the biggest need.
That's the biggest need, and that parents need a place to send their kids.
What's your obstacle?
Obstacle is facility space. So we're running out of space at the club for that age group, but
Okay.
there's creative ways around it. We can do rotations through different areas, and we'll hire more staff as needed.
So how can the community help?
Community can help by coming by, taking a tour, seeing what we're doing. I think that's probably the most important thing, is just the impact we're making on kids.
Yeah.
And helping those families, go to work, go to school, that kind of raise a family. But yeah, I mean, the cost for childcare is going up and up. We're struggling as a nonprofit with minimum wage going up every year. I try to make sure that we're paying our employees more than minimum wage, at least $1 more, and then in some cases higher for the supervisors and that sort of thing. But it's tough for us when we're competing against. My daughter works in In-N-Out Burger. She's making $22 an hour, and our starting wage $18 an hour. So it's tough. I want to get everybody up to that $22 an hour start, for everybody if I can.
Yeah.
So, but we have to fundraise to do that, and so that's the obstacle. But the one thing we have going for us is a lot of people want to help. We had over 350 volunteers last year from the community retired types. We've got working professionals, high schools, seniors, juniors that really want to help and make an impact on the younger generation.
Tell your daughter the burgers can't do jump rope.
No, no, exactly. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
And we've had quite a few people that want to be teachers. So they come check us out. They realize, oh yeah, I definitely want to be a teacher. Or, oh yeah, I don't want to be a teacher, and that's good. We helped you.
Yeah. Yeah. You hear some good ones, like what kids want to be when they grow up, or like different, like, I'm sure you have some great stories, actually, kind of like the Rising Stars.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a very similar program called Youth of the Year, and where we recognize, we have a Member of the Month program, and then every year we have a Youth of the Year celebration, very similar to Rising Star.
Okay.
And just some of these challenges that kids overcome through their life.
Yeah.
With, I'm all for trauma-informed care and all that, but I think at some points it becomes,
say that again,
trauma-informed care. And seems like a lot of people focus on, well, we're through this pandemic, or parents are struggling. I think, yeah, that's true, but at some point that'll hold you back. And then I think that kids are super resilient, and they can overcome a lot of these obstacles just with some positive mentors, some positive programs, and just people that believe in them, and that they can go places. And then it's natural in life to have these obstacles and feel bad, and life, quite honestly, doesn't always go your way, and that's okay. But sometimes I feel like people give them the participation trophy just for, oh, you did it. All right, go ahead. And and that really, it serves nobody well. And then people have false sense of entitlement and that sort of thing. But it's good to struggle and overcome those things. And we're here to help those kids and families through it. And
so, I mean, but that's the thing too, right? You talk about the Boys and Girls Club, but at the same time, you're dealing with a lot of parents.
Yeah.
Right? And
a lot of single parents too.
A lot of single parents.
Yeah.
And that's got to be tough.
It's tough. They're looking for us for help and to help guide their kids. And I've seen parents struggle with their kids. And we have this program called Smart Moves, where we're sitting there in small group settings, one-on-one, kind of helping them with decision making.
It's like a counseling session?
Counseling, yeah. Informal
one-on-one, or is it a group?
It's usually 1 to 5. So a small group of boys, small group of girls, and one
with their parents.
No, just with our staff right there.
Okay.
For bigger issues, we'll outsource them to, say, Lifeline or something like that, a professional counselor. But in those settings, you really get to make a big impact with kids. And some of our Youth of the Years come through like, hey, they got in trouble for graffiti at school, stealing a bike, that got in a fight, and we help them overcome those obstacles and show them what they can do with their life. If you have somebody that cares about you, and it's going to hold you accountable too when you mess up. Why'd you do that? What were you thinking?
Yeah.
And then kind of guide them towards a positive light. And a lot of them really appreciate the structure, and they want to help.
I'm sure.
They just need the guidance.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they need to, first of all, they need to find a way out of the circumstances that they're stuck in. And then they also want to have a conversation with somebody who actually believes that there's a light at the other end.
Yeah.
Sometimes at home, they're not even sure that, I mean, they may not have even been told that there is a light on the end.
Yeah.
You know, so you're putting them in the right position. I know I can see it behind your eyes that you've heard some amazing stories of some kids and some very
Yeah.
difficult stories as
Had
well.
kids stealing food because they don't have food at home, stealing shoes, they don't have shoes at home,
Yeah,
just trying to get by, and the club's the only place for them to go.
yeah.
And, dad's in jail, mom's she can't handle the kid.
Yeah,
It's out of
yeah, yeah.
control.
She's
And that's
checked
why
out.
she's checked out. Please, you fix him. That's right. And that's why we're there when school's in, when school's out. We're
Mhm.
there for them when you're 5, 6, 7, all the way up to 18. The best thing's when the kids come back when they're 22. Hey, I got a job here. I'm doing this. Thank you. I missed you. Sorry I was a pain in the butt, but you really helped me.
Look at me
Yeah.
now.
And in fact, I got this nice little note the other day. This kid left a little note for Raul Castillo. He handles our Smart Moves program. Just left him a note. I want you to know, the impact the club made on me. You believed in me, and stuff like that. And this kid we suspended a couple times, brought back,
Yeah.
and you really got to work with those kids. And that's why a Boys and Girls Club's there to make that impact on
And
those kids.
it's just okay. So the impact, right? The impact is just before the step,
Yeah.
right? And the step is just before the leap.
Yep.
And next thing you know, it's the big jump, right? And so shout out Raul, man. Just like all of you guys out there that have been impacted, keep taking the next step because you're gonna make a difference. And then you turn around and tell those stories. You have to come back. That's just my advice. I don't know how many of them you invite back and all, but I think having the alumni come back and kind of give some energy back.
Well, it's amazing how many people I find out. Oh, I went to the Boys and Girls Club,
Yeah.
or my kids went there,
Yeah.
and then just the kind of the proud moments they had growing up there, and
Mhm.
and it really helps out quite a bit of families along the way.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. So events. You got events coming up, something that you want to let the audience know about that we can
Yeah.
promote.
Yeah, so during the summer times, kind of our time to shine for teens.
Okay.
So we do a program called Career Launch. So we take our kids out, middle schoolers, high schoolers out in the community. We visit local businesses.
Okay.
So if you have a business you'd like us to visit,
Mhm.
please let us know.
Mhm.
We'd like to take our kids there, and we've been basing a lot of our workplace visits on what they're interested in. And it turns out what we think they're interested in, what they're interested, completely different. Turns out a lot of them want to be barbers and hairstylists. So we go in Kingdom Cuts. They want to check that out. So we've been doing
Awesome.
that.
Okay.
And a lot of them want to be in fashion, restaurants, that sort of thing. So we're taking them there. We're also taking them to Cal State San Marcos, all the junior colleges as well.
Yeah.
So that's coming up in the summer. But then the last week in June, we have a career expo. So we're looking for businesses to maybe, have a booth there. They can meet our kids and show off the various ways and jobs that are available for them. Like, for instance, a hospital, you would think it's just doctors and nurses, but it's not. It's a city. They've got so many different jobs but kids don't know that. I didn't know that. So that's a great opportunity. That's coming up at the end of June. And then Friday the 13th. I'm sorry, it's that day. But we're having our golf tournament. We haven't had one in years. So
Okay.
we're looking forward to we're having that over in San Marcos. We're looking for golfers, sponsors, some
Mhm.
in-kind donations as well. And again, those funds received help us provide scholarships to families that need it.
Okay. Okay. Don't wear the Jason Voorhees mask.
I'm very tempted.
Very cool. Okay. How about contact information?
Contact info, our website at the Boys and Girls Clubs, bgcvista.org.
Mhm.
Feel free to email me directly, Matt, M-A-T-T, at bgcvista.com.
Love it. I appreciate it. Appreciate you being here. I did have a listener question.
Uh-oh.
You want to hear a listener question?
Okay, here we go.
Okay. So, and now, and I can
Gotta drink some
imagine
water for this.
considering, I don't know where you might go because you wore so many hats.
Okay.
So the listener question from Ralph,
Okay.
he says, who would you drink with? What would you discuss? And what would you drink in anybody in history?
Oh my gosh. Very tough question, and it's going to take some time for me to process.
Process it.
I
Take your time.
think I would probably and this is kind of a weird one.
Mhm.
I've always had a lot of respect for. He's the former basketball coach of UNLV Running Rebels, Jerry Tarkanian. He
Yeah.
grew up in Fresno. I like
The
how.
towel biter.
Yep, towel biter. Yep,
Yeah.
Shark Tank, and he coached at Fresno State too.
Mhm.
So I would love to have a drink with him.
Mhm.
And what was the rest of the question?
What would you discuss and what would you drink?
I would like to discuss with him. He took a lot of JUCO transfers and kids from that had some tough upbringings as well. How he
Mm.
helped them out and guide them on the right path through college, because that Las Vegas is a completely different world than say Harlem
Mhm. Mhm.
or Chicago. Or that's I'd like to find out what he did to help make them grow up to be men and successful men at that. And then what would I drink? I'm not much of a drinker. I like cheap soda. So I probably drink up in Northern California, they have Safeway and Select.
Mhm.
I love Select soda.
Oh my
Diet soda, though. I gotta watch my weight.
You go to the bottom of the barrel and then go diet.
Yeah, sorry.
You go to the bottom, you might as well just drink the. I love it. I love it. Yeah, we had Safeway as well. Yeah, I know Safeway. That's very cool. And I do know Jerry Tarkanian and Stacey Augman was
Yep.
one of those
Larry
running rebels.
Johnson, Greg Anthony. I
Yes.
was a
yes.
Fresno State fan, but I respected those teams and what he did, and I loved it when they beat Duke.
Oh man, wasn't it the best?
Did not like Duke one bit.
That was it. Well, you
Christian
gotta go.
Laettner.
I go for the underdog, but you
Exactly.
actually were. That was home team for you.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I respect it. I
Yeah.
respect it 100%, Matt. Really, I appreciate you sitting down with me, man. You're
Thank
awesome,
you, Zeke.
man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. You inspire me, man. And I appreciate all your work in the community. If we were to talk about that, we'd have to do another hour. I know all the things that you're doing. We appreciate obviously what you're doing with the Chamber of Commerce, but there's so many other organizations that you're involved in. And then you actually involve us in your organization as well. Let's work together and with the same focus and purpose, taking care of these babies, man.
Takes a Vista Village.
That's it. It
Yep.
takes a Vista Village.
Yep.
I love it. You guys, make sure you keep tuning in the Same Business Different Day podcast. You can find us on Instagram at SameBizPod, SameBizPod, at A Different Day Radio. And thank you to the Star Fox crew and everybody else that's involved with making these great things happen, these great conversations. And once again, thanks to our guest, Matt Koumaras. Make sure that you support the Boys and Girls Club anywhere that you are, but don't forget the Boys and Girls Club of Vista. Thanks so much. Peace.